Hey guys, I'm Urizi. This story is all about what if Naruto became a demigod and fought a sea of monsters. After having a break, Naruto, Percy, and Annabeth come back to find that camp is dying and monsters are able to enter the border. To make things worse, Chiron has been replaced by someone who doesn't care about camp. Even, Grover is in trouble. The demigods must once again go on a quest to save camp, their new home. Unbeknownst to them, they are playing in the Crooked One's hands. Before we proceed with the story, please like and subscribe to this channel if you liked the video and don't forget to check the description for the other works of the author if you liked the story. Let's start. Chapter 6, A Quest for Camp. Everyone's spirits were low. They had yet another attack in the camp they called their home. Apollo's kids tried to get everyone's spirits up, but to no avail. The bonfire reflected the camp's mood. On a good night, the fire could reach 20 feet high, was purple in color, and it was so hot that the marshmallows on the front row burst into flames, but not tonight. At this particular night, the flames were only 5 feet high and were the color of lint. So, there they were sitting on a semicircle of stone steps, singing half-heartedly, and watching the bonfire blaze. They sang the usual songs they sang, down by the Aegean, I am my own great-great-great-great-grandpa, and, this is Minas land. When the songs were done, Tantalus said, well, that was lovely. He came forwards holding a toasted marshmallow on a stick and tried to casually pull it off. Before he could touch his food, the gooey concoction of sweetness flew off the stick. He made a wild grab for it but it dive-bombed into the flames. Instead of feeling down, he smiled coldly. Now then. Some announcements about tomorrow's schedule. Sir, Percy spoke up. Tantalus' eye twitched. Our kitchen boy has something to say. Shut up, cannibal. Naruto scolded. This is important, so you better listen too. You better watch your mouth, Tantalus challenged. Even if you did win the chariot match, or do you want them to know about that? Naruto balled his fists. I thought so, Foxy, Tantalus smirked. So what do you want to say, kitchen boy? Mr. D sighed. What I'd give for some pinnacle with Chiron. The flames turned bright yellow signifying the crowd's interest was piqued. We have reason to believe that one of our satyrs, Grover Underwood, has found the golden fleece, Percy announced. It can save camp. Percy blurted out his and Naruto's shared dream/empathy link message. Annabeth stepped up to remind the camp of what it could be. Naruto was right behind them, his knuckles white from the pressure. The satyrs serving Mr. D and those sitting on the sides' ears perked up and looked towards the son of Poseidon. Grover did. No way. That's so cool. Those were only some of the murmurs that could be heard from them. Nonsense. Tantalus shot him down. The camp doesn't need saving. Everybody stared at him until he got uncomfortable. Besides, he quickly added. If that goat really did find the fleece, why won't he bring it here? Because he got captured, Percy stated. The satyrs gasped in shock. So you kids want to go and rescue your friend and get the fleece, huh? Tantalus smirked. The Sea of Monsters is hardly an exact location. How would you know where to look? 30, 31, 75, 12, Percy said. They're the coordinates. Annabeth explained further, 30 degrees, 31 minutes north, 75 degrees, 12 minutes west. That'd be somewhere in the Atlantic, off the coast of Florida. We need a quest. Okay, you guys know where to go. Big deal. It still isn't Nice. You. This time Naruto snapped. He charged forward grabbing Tantalus by the scruff of his shirt. If you are really doing your job, you would know that the camp needs saving or are busy chasing donuts to notice. Oh, the QB brat is getting angry. Tantalus taunted. What are you going to do? Unleash you prisoner on me. Naruto growled. This time his voice sounded like two people were talking in one body. Oh, you don't know the half of it. He raised Tantalus a few inches off the ground. Naruto. Annabeth called out, calming the boy. Naruto let go off Tantalus causing him to fall on his butt. He looked at the crowd. There was fear on the faces of the other campers. Tantalus smirked, So, you've finally shown your true colors. What was that? Beckendorf asked. This is the cue. Shut up, you dumb excuse for an activities director. Naruto snapped. Are you going to continue hiding it from them, Fox Boy? Tantalus asked. Katie Gardner from the Demeter cabin spoke up. If it's a danger to camp, we deserve to know. Naruto sighed. If you guys have to know, it's better for you to hear it from me than from this freak. The smirk on Tantalus' face faded. The lands where I came from aren't as monster-free as you think. In a way, our monsters are a lot worse than the ones we have here. We have these massive concentrations of chakra that take on the form of animals so large that they are as high as the New York skyscrapers. Images could be seen of the flames. 9 rampaging beasts were shown causing so much mayhem and destruction. The nations, in an effort to gain power over the other, tried make weapons out of these beasts. My home village was no different. My village had the 9-tailed fox. The images focused on the fox with 9 tails attacking the village. But how did they make weapons out of the beasts if they were as big as you say? Someone in the crowd asked. By sealing them into humans. They were called Jinchuriki, or in this world's tongue, power of a human sacrifice. The crowd gasped. 14 years ago, the fox was somehow released into the village. Saying it caused havoc was an understatement. Many shinobi died trying to defend the village. The flames gained a scary shade of purple. My dad, the 4th Hokage, faced the beast head-on by himself, but not without costing his own life. Before died, he decided to seal the fox into another human to subdue it, but he couldn't ask just anyone to be the sacrifice. In the end, he decided to seal it inside of his own son. So, who did he seal it into? One of Hermes' children asked. It's obviously him. Get on the same page. One of Athena's kids answered for the blonde. I understand if you will hate me from now on, Naruto continued. I won't hold it against you. The fate of a Jinchuriki does entail fear and hatred. Now, you know what I am. It was nice hanging out with you guys. Well, Tantalus tried to get in the last word. Who here says we make this monster useful? There was silence. I take that as a yes, he said. I assign a quest to the demon fox boy, and I shall assign one of you to accompany him, and make sure he does not betray the camp. Fine, do what you want, Naruto relented. Whoever this child eater chooses, meet me at the big house. The blonde walked out after that. Okay, you heard the monster, Tantalus turned to the crowd. Who here wants to accompany that thing on the quest? Percy volunteered, we'll go. No way. Clarice complained. You had your chance, Summer. Yeah. The Ares cabin shouted at the son of Poseidon. Perhaps, you are volunteering, Ms. LaRue? Tantalus asked. Me. She answered with a question. Yeah. Show that Jackson kid how it's done. Her siblings encouraged. Wait a minute, the dream came to me. Percy tried to protest. He was quickly shot down by one of Clarice's siblings. You just want to be in the spotlight again. Yeah. Another one agreed. Sit down. Clarice gained the confidence to speak up, I shall accompany Naruto on the quest. At the big house. Here goes nothing, Naruto mumbled to himself. He pulled down the stairs that led to the attic and climbed up. I'm gonna kill that water boy later, he thought to himself. Why didn't he warn me about this? The attic was filled with memoirs of Greek heroes of the past. There were armor stands covered in cobwebs, rusted shields that were once bright bronze, old leather streamer pants plastered with stickers saying Ithaca, Circe's Island, and Land of the Amazons. One long table was filled with preserved parts of monsters, claws, eyes, a giant snake head, a full set of shark teeth, you name it. On one side of the room was hung a pink SCRF that looked familiar. It was one of the newer displays in the attic. There was a tag attached to it. SCRF of Aphrodite. Recovered at Waterland, Denver Co. By Percy Jackson and Annabeth Chase. Naruto hummed, those two brought it home, huh. After reminiscing on their first quest together, the blonde decided to leave the SCRF alone, and continue on to the Oracle. It wasn't hard to find the Oracle. Percy had described it to them last year, but Naruto wasn't prepared for what happened next. By the window, there was a mummified human female body sitting on a wooden stool. She was wearing a tie-dyed sundress, lots of beaded necklaces on her neck, and a headband over her long black hair. The skin on her face was thin and leathery over her skull, and her eyes were glassy white slits. As soon as it got sight of Naruto, her marble eyes lit in green light. Her mouth opened, pouring thick green mist that coiled into thick tendrils hissing like 20,000 snakes. Inside the blonde's head, there was a voice speaking, "I am the spirit of Delphi, speaker of the prophecies of Phoebus Apollo, slayer of the mighty Python. Approach, seeker, and ask." Naruto released a breath he didn't know he was holding. He had acquired a phobia for snakes ever since Orochimaru hijacked their Chunin exams not so long ago. What is my destiny?" he managed. The smoke curled even more thickly, collecting in front of him. Suddenly, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the late third Hokage, appeared right in front of him. His eyes were glowing green and the smoke from his pipe swirled more green mist. "You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone." The mist swirled beside the blonde, revealing his old teammates. Sakura grabbed his shoulder, making him look at her. Then, she opened her mouth. "Into the grasp of death, you shall be thrown." Sasuke spoke behind him. He turned to look at him. "Aid shall arrive from those of your own." Kakashi walked to and knelt in front of him. "But one of the crew will be entombed in stone." The images vanished and were replaced by Grover's image. "Only united will you find what you seek. But only one may succeed." The image of his satyr friend retreated to the mouth of the mummy. After that, her mouth shut tightly as if it didn't open his mouth before. The blonde was stunned. He understood why his friend had to hide parts of the prophecy. "Grasps of death, huh?" he said to himself. He decided to push that in the back of his mind. He knew that prophecies had double meanings. He will have to cross that bridge when he gets there. He descended the building. As he requested, Clarice was waiting for the quest leader to get his prophecy. "What did you call me for?" Clarice inquired. "Just you, huh?" Naruto said. "I thought a quest normally had 3. You know Tantalus," Clarice shrugged. "He doesn't play by our rules. Now quit stalling, what did you call me for?" "Pack your bags. We're leaving tonight," Naruto said as he started walking. "What? Why? Can't this wait till tomorrow? The sooner we head out, the sooner we can save the camp." "All right then." Naruto was a little ways away from her when she called out. "Hey, Blondie." "Yeah." Naruto turned to look at her. "You don't want to face them, do you?" Naruto looked down. "Give them time," Clarice said. The blonde looked up with a smile on his face, and then he nodded. Deep underwater. Somewhere beneath the ocean, in the depths beyond Poseidon's sphere of influence, there lay a giant cavern. In that cavern, 4 giant rock pillars jutted from the ocean floor. In the center of the underground cavern, there was a massive humanoid figure wrapped in celestial bronze chains. A hooded figure approached the monster. The figure swam up to the chain holding the humanoid monster's hand. She then, slashed the chain with a sword. The chain withstood the strike, glowing with green energy, the color of the sea. She frowned. She swam a few feet back, then pointed her sword at the chain. The blade hummed with energy. A beam of pure energy fired from the tip of the sword, which fired onto the chain, causing an explosion. The humanoid monster's eyes snapped open. Its hands tensed and started to tug at the chains. The cracked one gave way, freeing the monster's hand. The monster let out a massive roar that shook the entire cavern. Its free hand easily crushed the chains holding its tentacles. Once free, they moved to tug at the chains holding its other limbs. In time, the large humanoid monster was able to break free. It rammed itself into the cavern wall. The cavern crumbled from the force. Nearby, an Atlantean soldier was swimming by, patrolling the area. The dolphin's eyes widened when it saw the rubble. Getting concerned, it swam towards the wreckage, but a look of horror flashed over on its face. There was nothing left in the cavern but a huge crater. Kemp Half-Blood. Naruto was waiting near the hearth of the camp. He wore his flak jacket today and his headband was tied. Seeing the people he once loved spout the words of the prophecy to him made him reminisce about home. To add to that, he was thinking about how the other campers felt about him. Suddenly, a little girl walked out of the flames. "Something on your mind?" the little girl asked. "Oh hey, Lady Hestia," Naruto greeted. "Just thinking about my home." "Which one?" Hestia giggled. "Both maybe," Naruto answered. "The oracle showed me, my old friends. And with the new ones now." "You told them already?" Naruto nodded. "I see. As your partner had said, the camp just needs time to process all of this after your outburst. They're probably afraid of me now. They will be at first, but they will understand. After all, you demigods are seen as problems in society, although not as bad as your, situation." "Thank you, Lady Hestia. I needed that." "No problem. I see you're going on a quest." "Oh yes. We're on a quest to save the camp." "Hey, ninja boy," Clarice called from behind the two. The two turned towards the daughter of Ares. "Oh, Lady Hestia," she apologized when she saw who Naruto was with. "Forgive me for interrupting you. Please go back to your conversation." No. It's okay. I'm just seeing Naruto off. He's my champion after all," Hestia said. "Now, go and save the camp. I wish you luck," Hestia added, and then she walked into the flames and disappeared. "Champion of the Hearth, huh?" Clarice asked. "What's that about? Didn't I tell you guys yet?" Naruto answered with his own question. Clarice shook her head. "Oh, well that's not important, right now. Are we all set?" Naruto said. "As ready as we'll ever be. So, how'll we get to the Sea of Monsters?" "The prophecy said we'll sail an iron ship." "How will we get an iron ship?" "Maybe, my dad could help." "Let's go." The two made their way to the beach. The blonde still doubted how the daughter of Ares would provide a ship. "So how will we summon an iron ship?" Naruto asked. "Just be quiet and wait, Blondie," Clarice scolded. There was some grumbling from the blonde, something about being ADHD and Clarice being a baka or something like that. The daughter of war ignored the blonde. Instead, she closed her eyes and prayed to her father. Just then, the water bubbled and a large ironclad warship suddenly rose. "Whoa, how did you do that?" Naruto asked. "I just prayed to my dad for assistance. The spirits of the losing side of war owe my dad a tribute. That's their curse for being defeated. So here we are," Clarice explained. "But couldn't he give us something from World War II at least?" "Just be grateful," Naruto said. "It's probably 'cause I'm here. He still must be pissed from the last time we had the scuffle." "Oh right, that. Oh well, at least we got something." One of the Confederate soldiers, the one that looked to be the captain, approached the duo. "Madam Clarice and Sir Naruto, welcome to our ship. We shall be your crew. Let's go," Clarice called his friend. Naruto looked back at the camp. "What are you waiting for, Blondie? Your girlfriend?" The blonde's face turned red. She's not my." Yeah. It's not like it's obvious to the whole camp. Just hurry up and board. She'll be fine as long as she won't do anything stupid." "You're right. Coming." And so, the party from camp boarded the ship called the CSS Birmingham. The captain showed them around the ship. They were shown the bunker, the boilers, an engine which didn't look too good, the pilot house, the powder magazine, and the gunnery deck which Clarice immediately took a liking to. Finally, they were taken to the rooms so that they can rest for the night as the ship chugged to their destination. Line break. As the crew of the CSS Birmingham rested for the night, the blonde ninja in the group had another dream from his dear friend. Naruto dreamed of the cave. It was the same cave that he had dreamt of all those days ago. A satyr wearing a soiled wedding dress sat on a loom, madly unraveling the threads of the unfinished bridal train. It was Grover. Honey Pie. The monster shouted from behind the boulder covering the entrance. Grover yelped and began weaving the threads back together. The room shook as the boulder was pushed aside. Looming in the doorway was a cyclops that must have been 15 feet tall. He was so tall that he dwarfed their friend Tyson in comparison. He had jagged yellow teeth and gnarled hands as big as a human. He was wearing a faded purple t-shirt with the words World Sheep Expo 2001 plastered on it. His enormous milky eye was scarred and webbed with cataracts. "What are you doing?" the monster demanded. "Oh, nothing," Grover said in a falsetto voice. "Just weaving my bridal set as you can see." The Cyclops palmed the walls of the room trying to find his way to the loom in the middle of the room. He felt at the cloth. "It hasn't gotten any longer." "Nonsense, dearest. I have added at least an inch." "Too many delays," the monster bellowed. Then he sniffed the air. "You smell good. Like goats." "Oh." Grover forced a weak giggle. "Do you like it?" "It's eau de chèvre. I wore it just for you." "MMMM." The Cyclops bared his pointed teeth. "Good enough to eat." "Oh, you're such a flirt." "No more delays." "But dear, I'm not done." "Tomorrow." "No, no. 10 more days." 5. "Oh, well, 7 then. If you insist." 7. "That is less than 5, right?" "Certainly." "Oh yes." The monster grumbled, still not happy with his deal, but he left Grover to his weaving and rolled the boulder back into place. Grover closed his eyes and took a shaky breath, trying to calm his nerves. "Hurry, Percy, Naruto," he muttered. "Please, please, please." Then, the dream changed. It was night time. Naruto saw a young Annabeth looking for her friends. She was cowering in a corner, her dagger was in hand. "She's a cute little kid," Naruto thought. He approached the little girl. "Hey kid, what's wrong?" I don't know," she managed. A voice came in from inside the warehouse close to them. It was eerily the voice of Mr. Chase, Annabeth's dad. "Something tells me that's not your dad, huh?" Naruto said. All Annabeth could do was nod. "Stay here, okay? I'll come back for you," Naruto told the little Annabeth. Naruto raised his right hand in a half-ram seal, and he disappeared, startling the girl. He, then, entered the warehouse skulking around like nobody was there. Inside the warehouse, aside from the container vans and other junk, he saw a Cyclops looking for something. Further inside, there was a huge cauldron of boiling soup. Right above it, there were 3 kids tied by a rope. "Come on out, Annabeth. Let's go home together," the Cyclops called out. Naruto took out a kunai and sighed. "That's a pretty good skill for Cyclopes," he said to himself. "But, I gotta kill ya. Come on, oh." A celestial bronze kunai sprouted from the Cyclops' abdomen. The monster crumbled into golden dust. "You can come out now," Naruto called out. The scared little Annabeth came out of her hiding spot. "Is it over?" she croaked. "Yep," Naruto grinned. "Let's get them down." The next day, Naruto woke up with a start. He heard Clarice knocking at the door. "Yo, ninja boy. Breakfast's ready at the mess hall if you're hungry." "I'll be right there," he replied. Naruto got up from the bed and went to freshen up. He made it to the mess hall to find Clarice munching on some bacon and eggs. He decided to dig in. It was no ramen, but he still had to eat. After breakfast, they were on the deck. The blonde was bored as hell waiting to get to their destination. "Are we there yet?" Naruto asked. "Obviously, not yet, Blondie," Clarice answered. "I'll hit you if you keep asking that." "But can you blame me, though? I mean, we are demigods," Naruto reasoned. "Yeah, even so, go find something to do," Clarice ordered. "But there's nothing to do." I know. Our fight on your first day at camp. Is that a challenge?" "Yeah. This time no using that clone thing." "Fine. Come at me." Clarice dropped what she was holding and charged the blonde, aiming a punch at his head. It was easily blocked by the blonde. Naruto twisted his body, aiming a kick to the daughter of Ares' head. She ducked the kick and head-butted the blonde's midsection. He was able to twist in the air back upright and he landed on his knee. "Nice dodge," Naruto praised. "I'm just getting started," Clarice smirked. Clarice rushed the blonde. Naruto easily sidestepped another of Clarice's punch and he aimed one of his own on her midsection. The daughter of Ares grunted from the hit. Not giving her time to recover, the blonde sent a jab of his own aimed at the girl. The girl was disoriented, but she managed to send a punch to the blonde's chest. Naruto caught her arm and flipped her. She landed flat on her back. Clarice tried to get up but Naruto flipped to sit on her. Annabeth to subdue her. The blonde's fist was mere inches from her face. They were like that for a few seconds. Then, Clarice's face flushed. You Kanji, get off of me now, blondie." Naruto realized what was happening and he flushed too. Sorry." He apologized. He promptly stood up, his face was still red. "Not one word of this, blondie," Clarice warned. "Especially not in front of your girlfriend." "I told she's not," Naruto was about to protest, but his senses opened up, registering a monster nearby. "Hold that thought," he paused. "Prep your weapons." Clarice grinned. "Monsters." The blonde nodded. The daughter of war ran towards the gunnery deck. They were near a swampy area. A little farther, they could hear some fighting. "Fire!" a familiar voice said. "We need fire." "Is that who I think it is?" Naruto muttered. "Oh gods, please don't make it be them. No hitting my friends." Another familiar voice shouted. "Captain! Head over, in that direction." Naruto pointed to the direction of where he heard the fighting and yelling. Line break. Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson inched backward, slowly avoiding acid splashes and deflecting the heads. Then, a strange sound, a chug-chug-chug, permeated the surroundings. Everything shook. "What's that noise?" Annabeth asked. "Steam engine." Tyson answered. "What?" Percy shouted through the noise. From the river behind them, Clarice shouted. "There. Prepare the 32-pounder. The three didn't dare look away from their enemy. "They're too close, milady," a gravelly male voice said. "Damn those idiots," Clarice said. "Full steam ahead." "I'll get them," Naruto shouted. "Right." Clarice nodded. "Fire at will, Captain." "Aye." "Get down," Naruto warned. "Na Naruto," the three demigods shouted as they saw the blonde. "You." Instead of being happy to see them, Naruto got mad. "What are you three doing here? We'll talk about this later." His voice softened a bit. Naruto raced through his hand signs and placed his hands to the ground. The earth hardened around them and a domed wall formed. There was an earth-shattering boom echoing from the river and a flash of light on the Hydra's body. The monster exploded, spraying its guts all over. The ship sailed closer to them. "Hey war girl!" Naruto called out to her partner. "Guess who I found?" "Losers," Clarice sneered. "You are so dead." Chapter 7, The Lurking Threat. The earth crumbled from an earthen shell, revealing three teenagers and a cyclops. They were greeted by Clarice, Naruto's partner on the quest. She decided to let the three stowaways board their ship, not out of the goodness of her heart, but because the blonde talked her into it. The Confederates took a liking to Percy and Annabeth as soon as they boarded. They liked Annabeth because she told them that she was from Virginia, and they liked Percy because he had the same last name as the Southern general. Although, he had to ruin for himself when he said he was from New York. "So that's the ship," Clarice said, finishing the ship tour that the captain had taken Naruto and Clarice. "Mr. D's going to turn you into a dolphin when we get back." A chill ran up Percy and Annabeth's spine. Tyson didn't really understand what the daughter of Ares said. "But we just wanted to." Boink. "Ow." Percy and Annabeth complained. "What did you hit us for?" Percy asked. "Should I spell it out for you, Percy?" Naruto asked with sarcasm. But don't you guys trust me enough to bring Grover back? We do, but I'm sure Chiron told you to stay at camp to train. What if you fight Luke again? Percy and Annabeth looked at each other. Let me guess. You had to fight him. Annabeth decided to speak up. Actually, we managed to escape. Naruto turned to the daughter of Athena. And you, Miss Chase, why didn't you stop him? You know that Waterboy didn't think this through. Well, we all know that Percy's too hard-headed to listen. Hey, Percy protested. Naruto sighed. I suppose you're right. That's why I'm here, to keep him out of trouble. I did promise Chiron after all. Naruto turned back to Percy. You haven't met my sensei, yet you keep his most important lesson to heart. What's that? Percy asked. Whoever breaks the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Percy and Annabeth smiled. He sounds like a good teacher, Annabeth said. Oh, he was terrible, Naruto explained. I still remember all those times he made us wait for 1 hour before he arrives. Kinda like Percy then, Annabeth commented. Why me again? Percy protested. The two blondes laughed, while the son of Poseidon frowned. After a round of hearty laughter, Naruto shrugged. Well, you're here now. I suppose you can join the quest. What? Clarice complained. We do need the help, Clarice. A quest needs 3, yeah no. Naruto explained. You do want the quest to succeed, right? Fine, the daughter of Ares relented. Thank you, Naruto. Annabeth wrapped Naruto in a hug, earning snickers from Clarice. The two heard this and they glared at her. Their cheeks may or may not have been blushing. They wouldn't admit it. Fireball, Tyson said, breaking them from their staring contest. What did you say, big guy? Percy asked. There, big fireball. Heading this way. The big guy pointed out. Everyone looked in that direction. At first, they thought it was a comet, but when it got closer, the 4 of them were able to make out a chariot. Riding a chariot was one familiar face. The chariot landed, or crashed depending on how you make it out, in the water next to the ship. The chariot floated on the surface of the water like it was weightless or it somehow had chakra. Soon enough, the owner of the chariot was right in front of them. Brats, he greeted the crew with the only way he knew how. Father, Clarice greeted with a bow. To what do we owe this visit? Percy instinctively grabbed his pen, but he couldn't uncap it for some reason. Percy, stand down, Naruto ordered. The son of Poseidon growled, you're lucky I can't uncap my pen. Didn't it occur that it was cause of me, why you use your little toy, Ares taunted. Percy glared at him. You should listen to your quest leader, Ares continued. At least he's being reasonable. Percy still didn't look happy. Relax, brat. I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to talk to her, Ares pointed to his daughter. Clarice, come with me. As soon as Clarice and Ares disappeared somewhere below deck, Percy's stomach growled. We should have eaten those donuts when we had the chance. He said. But a monster made them, and you still want to eat them? Annabeth asked. What are we talking about? Naruto asked. I told Tyson to buy some jelly donuts in the middle of nowhere, but he somehow found some, Percy explained. Turns out, there was a hydra close to our hideout, Annabeth added. Gee, what are the odds, Naruto said. So you guys hungry? Mess hall of the ship. Normally, Percy would have qualms about accepting food from the undead, but he was too hungry to dig into the details. Clarice joined them after a few minutes. She dug into her food half-heartedly. The talk with her father must have bothered her. So what did you talk about with your dad? Percy asked. It's none of your business, Percy. Clarice snapped. Geez, what's your problem? The son of Poseidon commented. It was quiet for a second, but Annabeth decided to talk about what they encountered. So, Luke's on board a ship full of monsters, and there's this golden sarcophagus there. She explained. I can make a good guess about what's inside, Naruto said. Annabeth nodded. He also has the coordinates of the fleece somehow and he's headed there right now. Good, then I can blast their little boat to Kingdom Come. Clarice finally said. Glad to have you back, Naruto said. Clarice huffed at the blonde boy. Show them their rooms as soon as they're done, Clarice ordered one of the soldiers as soon as she was done eating. The soldier nodded. Where are you going? Naruto asked. I'm going to train, Clarice answered and left immediately. I wonder what's wrong with her, Percy wondered out loud. She seemed pretty shaken up. Her dad must be putting a lot of pressure on her. After all, we humiliated him back then. So, just try to understand her. Naruto said. Naruto, how about you? Are you okay? Annabeth asked with worry. What do you mean? Of course, I'm fine. Naruto shrugged her off. You had to tell the whole camp about your secret. That must have been hard. Percy added. Naruto's face faltered. Oh yeah, that's not important now. Annabeth placed a hand on the other blonde's shoulders. Naruto. I'll be okay. Thanks for worrying. Naruto said. So, now, you guys must be tired. After they finished their food, one of the Confederate soldiers showed them to their rooms. Each of them got to share a room of their own, though Tyson didn't want to sleep by himself because he was scared of the undead soldiers. Tyson joined Percy in his room. Naruto lay down on his bed. He decided he might as well go back to sleep since there was nothing else to do. As soon as he fell asleep, Grover visited his dreams again. Grover was sitting at his loom, desperately unraveling his wedding train, when the boulder door rolled aside and the Cyclops bellowed, "Aha!" Grover yelped. Dear! I didn't. You were so quiet. Unraveling. Polyphemus roared. So that's the problem. Oh, no. I wasn't. Come. Polyphemus grabbed Grover around the waist and half carried, half dragged him through the tunnels of the cave. The satyr struggled to keep his high heels on his hooves. His veil kept tilting on his head, threatening to come off. The Cyclops pulled him into a warehouse-size cavern decorated with sheep junk. There were a wool-covered lazy-boy recliner and a wool-covered television set, crude bookshelves loaded with sheep collectibles, coffee mugs shaped like sheep faces, plaster figurines of sheep board games, and picture books and action figures. The floor was littered with piles of sheep bones, and other bones that didn't look exactly like sheep. They must have been the bones of satyrs who'd come to the island looking for Pan. The Cyclops set Grover down only long enough to move another huge boulder. Daylight streamed into the cave, and Grover whimpered with longing. Fresh air. The Cyclops dragged him outside to a hilltop overlooking the most beautiful island the demigods who were dreaming had ever seen. It was shaped kind of like a saddle cut in half by an axe. There were lush green hills on both sides and a wide valley in the middle, split by a deep chasm that was spanned by a rope bridge. Beautiful streams rolled to the edge of the canyon and dropped off in rainbow-colored waterfalls. Parrots fluttered in the trees. Pink and purple flowers bloomed on the bushes. Hundreds of sheep grazed in the meadows, their wool glinting strangely like copper and silver coins. And at the center of the island, right next to the rope bridge, was an enormous twisted oak tree with something glittering in its lowest bough. It was the Golden Fleece. Even though Naruto was dreaming, he could definitely feel the power of the fleece working its magic on the island. He figured that the satyrs would be able to smell the magic much more strongly. Grover whimpered again. Yes, Polyphemus said proudly. See over there? Fleece is the prize of my collection. Stole it from heroes long ago, and ever since free food. Satyrs come from all over the world, like moths to flame. Satyrs good eating. And now. Polyphemus scooped up a wicked set of bronze shears. Grover yelped, but Polyphemus just picked up the nearest sheep like it was a stuffed animal and shaved off its wool. He handed a fluffy mass of it to Grover. Put that on the spinning wheel. He said proudly. Magic. Cannot be unraveled. Oh. Well. Poor honey pie. Polyphemus grinned. Bad weaver. Ha ha. Not to worry. That thread will solve problem. Finish wedding train by tomorrow. Isn't that thoughtful of you? Hee hee. But, dear, Grover gulped, what if someone were to to attack this island? Grover looked straight at Naruto and Percy who were watching the events unfold. What would keep them from marching right up here to your cave? Wifey scared. So cute. Not to worry. Polyphemus has state-of-the-art security system. Have to get through my pets. Pets. Grover looked across the island, but there was nothing to see except sheep grazing peacefully in the meadows. And then, Polyphemus growled, they would have to get through me. He pounded his fist against the nearest rock, which cracked and split in half. Now, come. He shouted. Back to the cave. Grover looked about ready to cry, so close to freedom, but so hopelessly far. Tears welled in his eyes as the boulder door rolled shut, sealing him once again in the stinky torch-lit dankness of the Cyclops' cave. A sleeping puppy in the corner woke up to the boulder rolling back in place. Grover sat dejectedly on the wall close to the loom. The puppy went close to him to comfort him. I'm okay, girl, Grover tried to be strong. They will come for us anytime soon. Naruto woke up to bells ringing. All hands on deck. Find Sir Naruto. Where is he? The captain's gravelly voice echoed through the corridors. Just then, a shrill, girlish scream was heard through the whole ship. What are you doing in my room? Percy's cracking voice could be heard screaming. Naruto got up from his bed and opened the door to his room. You're here, Sir Naruto, the captain greeted. He was about to knock when the blonde opened the door. What was that all about, Captain? Naruto asked. You mean the screaming? The captain replied, earning a nod from the blonde. He did not take kindly to me waking him up. I must have startled him. Naruto laughed out loud for a few seconds. I'll never let him forget that. He said in between laughs. Anyway, he finally said. You were looking for me. We are approaching the entrance to the Sea of Monsters, sir. The captain replied. Your friends are already above. Naruto nodded. Let's go. On deck. The sky was overcast. The air was hazy and humid, like the steam from an iron. Clarice was looking through the binoculars he had gotten from one of the soldiers. Tyson had a worried look on his face. Too much strain on the pistons, the Cyclops muttered. Not meant for deep water. Naruto joined them shortly after. We'll have to make do, Naruto told the young Cyclops. We don't have a choice. What took you so long? Annabeth asked. Dream about Grover. Naruto answered. We're running out of time, Percy added. Grover is getting married tomorrow. Everyone nodded. After a few more minutes, the dark splotches ahead of us came into focus. To the north, a huge mass of rock rose out of the sea, an island with cliffs at least 100 feet tall. About half a mile south of that, the other patch of darkness was a storm brewing. The sky and sea boiled together in a roaring mass. Something tells me that's not a hurricane. Annabeth voiced her thoughts. Clarice shook her head. That's Charybdis. Annabeth paled. The one who sucks in the oceans in the stories. Percy asked. The very same, Naruto answered. Wasn't there two of them? The son of Poseidon asked again. The other one's Scylla. It was Annabeth who answered this time. She lives in the caves underwater. Why don't we just go around? Percy suggested. The sea is wide open. Don't you know anything? Clarice rolled her eyes. You have to go through them. She's right, Percy, Naruto added. Even if we did go around them, they would just reappear in front of us. So which one are we going through? Percy inquired. Clarice had an evil smile on her face. We're going through Charybdis. Captain. Aye, milady. We're already on it. The captain gave his affirmative. Wait, Percy protested. If we have to go through one of them, why not go through Scylla? Clarice shook her head. If we get too close, her snaky heads will appear and start plucking us one by one. Then, we hide below deck. Percy looked proud of himself. Naruto sighed. That wouldn't work either. If she can't grab her easy food, she'll pick up the whole ship. Then we leave your clone things above deck. Percy still looked proud. Nope, the clones will disappear once she bites down. She won't have her meat either way. Dang, Percy was crestfallen. I thought I had a good idea. We go through Charybdis and that's final. Clarice said with finality. Captain, arm the cannons. Aye, milady. Little did the demigods know, there was another monster lurking underwater. Somewhere in the wilderness. A young girl held her bow in her hands as she checked the ground for tracks. It was Artemis, and she was on one of her hunting missions. Just then, she sensed something out of the blue. This feeling. What's wrong, milady? Zoe, her lieutenant asked. I sense one of the oldest sea monsters in the hunt. It's back. Artemis explained. Zoe's eyes widened. You mean, it has escaped? Artemis nodded. I have to go and report this at once. Zoe, you're in charge while I'm gone. Mount Olympus. Artemis appeared in the throne room to see only the king of the gods in the throne room. Lord Zeus, Artemis greeted. What is it, Artemis? The king of the gods asked. I have sensed one of the great sea monsters has broken free of its chains, Artemis explained. Poseidon appeared next to Zeus sitting on his throne. Brother, Poseidon said. I'm sure you have sensed by now. Yes, Zeus nodded. But how? He was in your jurisdiction, and yet it had escaped. The culprit had snuck in right under our noses. Nobody had sensed him enter the premises of his prison. It's like he was masked by an ancient power. The god of the sea explained. Let me go and hunt it. Artemis presented. No, you shall do such thing, Zeus said. But why? Artemis asked. We must get rid of this monster before it becomes a problem for us. By now, the monster is at the entrance to the Sea of Monsters, Poseidon explained. Approaching the entrance is a ship filled with demigods. The party from Camp Half-Blood. Artemis said. Aboard the ship is. She turned to Zeus. All the more reason for me to go. No, you know the ancient rules. We must not interfere with the lives of the demigods. Zeus said with finality. Artemis growled. Fine. I just hope you will get through this, my son. Sea of Monsters. The CSS Birmingham drew ever closer to the Charybdis. The sound of the monster got louder and louder. It sounded like a horrible wet roar, like the galaxy's biggest toilet being flushed. Every time she inhaled, the ship shuddered and lurched forward. Every time she exhaled, the ship rose in the water and was buffeted by 10-foot waves. Percy, can you control the water? Naruto asked the son of Poseidon. Percy closed his eyes and tried to concentrate. A frown appeared on his face. The water didn't respond. I can't. He said. Too much interference. I can't focus properly. We need a backup plan, Annabeth said. This isn't going to work. Behind the ship, a silhouette 3 times as large as the ship swam by. Percy and Naruto perked up, sensing the newcomer. Annabeth noticed the change in expression of the two. What is it? She asked. There's one more. Percy answered. Something big. Naruto added. What are you idiots talking about? Clarice asked. She was answered by a loud roar from the back of the boat. The sheer volume of the roar made the ship shudder. The silhouette had risen from the water. A humanoid monster was behind them. It was a large monster, easily as tall as the New York skyscrapers. It was standing on 2 legs which carried a muscular frame covered in large scales. Behind it, there were long and large tentacles easily big enough to pluck ships out of the water. The demigods' eyes widened as soon as they saw the third monster. What is that thing? Percy asked. It's that thing from that movie, Naruto asked. What was it again? The others gave him quick odd looks. That doesn't matter right now. Annabeth yelled. We're boxed in. The monster sent its tentacles at the back of the ship and started tugging. Cut those things off. Clarice ordered. The demigods scrambled at the Daughter of War's command. Each of them chose a tentacle for themselves and began slashing at it with their weapons. That managed to release the hold that the monster had on their vessel. The problem is that it made it mad. The monster started moving towards the ship. We can't spare any more cannons for that thing. Clarice shouted. We won't get them ready in time. Heads up. Percy warned. It's coming. Take care of the Charybdis, Naruto ordered his friends. No, Naruto. Annabeth tried to stop him. We're doing this together. We don't have a choice, smart girl, Clarice said. We'll have our hands full with them. Clarice stuck a thumb back to point at the two monsters guarding the entrance to the Sea of Monsters. Annie, I have to, Naruto explained. We might not survive if I don't hold the other one off. Naruto walked forward to jump off the ship. Man, those sound like famous last words, Percy commented, which didn't help Annabeth's mood. Naruto, don't you dare. The giant monster was closing in, so Naruto prepared his attack. Kagebunshin no Justu. The shinobi yelled. Each of the clones rammed themselves onto the monster. With the proper chakra burst as the clones hit, each hit felt like a truck. They actually managed to push the monster back. The remaining clones fired all the weapons they can at the huge monster. There were kunai with explosive tags, shuriken, and bow and arrows. The other clones drew kunai in hand and charged at the monster, slashing and hacking at the monster's tough hide. Back at the ship, the other demigods were sailing through Charybdis' whirlpool. The ship lurched forward, throwing the passengers to the deck. Full reverse. Clarice screamed over the noise. The sea churned around them, waves crashing over the deck. The iron plating was now so hot it steamed. The dead Confederates rushed back and forth. The propeller ground into reverse, trying to slow the descent of the ship, but it was no use. The ship continued to slide to the center of the vortex. Well, get down there and fix it. Can't. The sailor yelled. We're vaporizing in the heat. Clarice pounded the side of the casemate. All I need is a few more minutes. Just enough to get in range. We're going in too fast, the captain said grimly. Prepare yourself for death. No. Tyson bellowed. I can fix it. Clarice looked at him incredulously. You. He's a Cyclops, Annabeth said. He's immune to fire. And he knows mechanics. Go. Yelled Clarice. Tyson, no. Percy grabbed his hand. It's too dangerous. He patted Percy's hand. Only way, brother. His expression was full of determination and confidence. I will fix it. Be right back. As Tyson followed the smoldering sailor down the hatch, Charybdis decided to show herself. She appeared only a few hundred yards away, through a swirl of mist and smoke and water. There was a reef, a black crag of coral with a fig tree clinging to the top. All around it, water curved into a funnel, like light around a black hole. Anchored to the reef just below the waterline was an enormous mouth with slimy lips and mossy teeth the size of rowboats. And worse, the teeth had braces, bands of corroded scummy metal with pieces of fish and driftwood and floating garbage stuck between them. Charybdis was an orthodontist's nightmare. She was nothing but a huge black maw with bad teeth alignment. The entire sea around her was sucked into the void. Sharks, schools of fish, a giant squid. Lady Clarice, the captain shouted. Starboard and forward guns are in range. Fire. Clarice ordered. 3 rounds were blasted into the monster's maw. One blew off the edge of an incisor. Another disappeared into her gullet. The third hit one of Charybdis' retaining bands and shot back at the ship, snapping the Ares flag off its pole. Again. Clarice ordered. The gunners reloaded. Everything seemed hopeless. The cannons weren't doing much damage to Charybdis. They'd have to fire more rounds at the living, breathing gullet, but they didn't have the luxury of time. Then, the vibrations in the deck changed. The hum of the engine got stronger and steadier. The ship shuddered and the ship started pulling away from the mouth. Tyson had given the ship just enough juice to keep the ship away from the mouth. Tyson did it. Annabeth said. Wait. Clarice said. We need to stay close. We'll die. Percy screamed. We have to move away. Suddenly, Charybdis snapped her mouth shut. The sea died to absolute calm. Water washed over the monster. Then, just as quickly as it had closed, the mouth exploded open, spitting out a wall of water, ejecting everything inedible, including the cannonballs, one of which slammed into the side of the CSS Birmingham with a ding. The ship was thrown backward. Percy concentrated hard enough to keep the ship from capsizing, but it was no use. The ship spun out of control close to the cliffs opposite the strait. Another smoldering sailor burst out of the hold. He stumbled into Clarice, almost knocking them both overboard. The engine is about to blow. Where's Tyson? Percy demanded. Still down there, the sailor answered. Holding it together somehow, though I don't know for how much longer. We have to abandon ship. The captain suggested. No. Clarice refused. We have no choice, my lady. The hull is already cracking apart. She can't. He never finished his sentence. As quick as lightning, something brown and green shot from the sky snatched up the captain and lifted him away. All that was left were his leather boots. Scylla! A sailor yelled, like another column of reptilian flesh shot from the cliffs and snapped him up. It happened so fast that nobody was able to see its face. They were just able to make out a flash of teeth and scales. Percy brought out Riptide and tried to swipe at the monster as it carried off another deckhand, but it was too late. Everyone get below. Percy ordered. Idiot! Clarice yelled at the son of Poseidon. We've been through this already. She'll just pluck up the ship. Lifeboats. Annabeth suggested. Quick. They won't reach the cliffs. Clarice said. We'll get eaten. All around them Scylla's heads began plucking the other sailors off of the ship. Get to the boats. Percy said. I'll get Tyson. Idiot. The heat will kill you. Annabeth yelled. He didn't listen. He ran to the hatch. Before he could make it, one of the heads managed to pluck him off of the ground. Percy fought against the head, making him drop to the ship. The girls had boarded their lifeboats and had dropped down to the water. Just then, the ship exploded. Chapter 8, Deep Sea Terror. Naruto was locked in battle all by himself against one fierce sea monster. He was holding his own, attacking from afar and going in to place some paper bombs. Just then, a huge explosion came from the direction of his friends. A look of horror washed over his face. He turned back momentarily to see that the ship he boarded earlier was no more. All that was left was debris, the scrap metal from the broken ship. None of his friends were there. The monster didn't wait for him to recover. It slammed its fist on the water's surface. Most of the clone's battle reflexes kicked in just in time for him to jump away from the attack. Those that were unlucky got dispelled. Shut up, you overgrown piece of shit. Naruto pointed a finger to the huge beast. If it weren't for you, I could have helped them. The monster roared at him in reply. You don't scare me, you movie reject, the blonde yelled back. Naruto charged. All of him did, including the clones. The monster tried to grab at the different clones running towards it. The nimble ones were able to jump to avoid it and continued on his way. The unfortunate ones got crushed on the monster's grip. It used its tentacles to knock away most of Blonde's charging. With kunai in hand, the clones slashed and hacked every tentacle that came. The monster got lucky with some of the clones. On each one of their right hands, blue orbs of energy began forming and continued growing. All the clones leaped on the monster and slammed the orb into its abdomen. Odama Rasengan. All of them shouted. The monster fell on its back, sinking into the ocean. Naruto was panting after that. He fell to a knee, catching his breath. Still as pathetic as ever, a familiar cold voice spoke behind him. That voice. Naruto said as he recognized who it was. Shakily, the blonde rose to his feet and slowly turned around. Standing across from him was his former teammate, Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke, what are you doing here in this world? Naruto asked. That's none of your business, Naruto, Sasuke answered. I have come for your friends. What do you need them for? I do not have to answer that question. All you need to know is that a man named Luke is asking for them. Luke. Naruto growled. Where is he? Same old Naruto. Where are they? Sasuke demanded as he drew his sword. They're gone. Look at the wreckage. Naruto pointed to the floating debris from their once seaworthy World War II ship. Then, I have no need to stay here anymore. Sasuke turned around to leave. Sasuke, wait. Naruto called out. You've got to go back to the village. Why? So I could play ninja with you there once again. Orochimaru only wants to make your body his. I told you Naruto, you wouldn't understand why I will risk even that so I could obtain power. You had no parents from the beginning. Naruto just growled. Sasuke smirked. You want to bring me home to the leaf, yet you yourself are here far away from it. You don't know the circumstances. Naruto said. But I will bring you back to the village. I don't have to fight you right now. I will find your friends. You won't get to my friends. I will stop you here and now. So be it. Just prove to be a challenge this time. Sasuke turned to face the blonde. The two shinobi stood a few feet from each other, neither of them backing down. A few seconds later, the two began to weave their hand signs. They both stopped at the hand sign of tiger. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Two orbs of fire were produced from the mouths of the two shinobi. The two balls of fire collided with each other with equal power. Sasuke smirked. So, you know fire jutsu no? A lot has changed since then. Naruto answered. You're not the only one who has changed. Sasuke said, his eyes glowing red from his visual prowess. Sasuke's blade crackled with lightning. Naruto countered by coating his own blade with wind chakra. The two shinobi disappeared from their former spots. They appeared in front of each other, their blades clashing with each other. Neither of them was giving the edge. Naruto twisted to avoid the sword and sent a kick aimed at his opponent's head. Sasuke raised his arm to block the attack, but the force made him skid a few inches over the water's surface. Sasuke summoned different shuriken from the summoning seals on his arms. Futon, Daitapa. Naruto blew away all the weapons that Sasuke was throwing at him. Suddenly, the monster from earlier rose from the water. What? Naruto shouted in shock. That thing is still here. Naruto was standing at the exact spot where the monster's hand rose from the water. The monster felt the foreign body on its palm and squeezed tight. The blonde was caught off guard and wasn't able to get away. Oh shit! Naruto yelled in pain. You may have changed, Naruto, but you're still as pathetic as ever. Sasuke huffed. But you monster are not going to end things with him. Sasuke thought. Chidori Nagashi. Sasuke screamed. A stream of lightning came from the Uchiha and made its way to the huge monster. It squeezed at the monster, constricting its movements and made it loosen its grip on the blonde. Sasuke? Naruto asked, but it fell on deaf ears. Okay. He continued when Sasuke didn't answer. Saru, Hitsuji. Kuchi Yase no Justu. The monster's hand suddenly exploded, spraying blood everywhere. The monster screamed in pain. Standing over the monster now was a giant rusty red-colored frog suddenly appeared. Around his eyes and on his lips and chest are brighter red markings. Over on his left eye was a scar that slashed across. He wore a large blue happy vest that has the kanji, EBI, on the back portion. Around his hip was a massive dosa blade. In between his lip was a large kisira pipe. It was Gamabunta, the toad chief. Wah, the toad said in a grumpy tone. Where am I? Oyabun. Naruto greeted. Gaki. Gamabunta said. Why are we in salt water? I'm going to itch later. Sorry boss. I was about to be crushed. Naruto apologized. By what? Naruto pointed downward to the monster. The water started bubbling. Heads up. Naruto warned. The toad boss leapt away just in time. In his former spot, the Kraken emerged from the water for an attempted surprise attack. Gah! What is that ugly thing? Gamabunta asked. It's called the Kraken, one of the monsters in this world. Naruto answered. So, could you help me defeat that thing? Hell no. The toad boss refused. What do you mean, hell no? The blonde asked. You aren't my subordinate yet. You promised me to have that drink when we fought Shukaku. This isn't the time for that. That thing will get you too if you don't help. I can dispel the jutsu and return home all by myself. Gamabunta said to the dismay of the blonde. Speaking of home, where have you been all this time? Naruto was about to answer, but the kraken didn't give them the luxury of time to speak. It stumbled forward and tried to wrap the giant toad with all its tentacles. Gamabunta, the expert swordsman he is, sliced through the tentacles and slashed and stabbed through the main body. The chief toad opened his eyes. He was surprised with what he seen. What? It took no damage. Regular weapons don't work on them. Naruto explained. Why didn't you tell me? Gamabunta berated the boy. All this fighting didn't give me time to explain, Naruto answered. I see your point. Gamabunta said. What about if we use physical attacks like the last time? Boss. That's a great idea. It's worth a shot. Henge. The two partners shouted. A giant puff of smoke enveloped them. A huge claw with orange fur came forward from within the smoke cloud and raked its claws on the snake's body. The smoke cleared, revealing Naruto and Gamabunta's transformation. They took the form of a giant orange-colored kitsune. They had transformed into the blonde's tenant hiding in his seal. The giant fox roared in defiance at their opponent. The fox bounded over to the giant monster. It rammed itself on the monster, then it raked its claws on it. The kraken tried to wrap its tentacles on the massive kitsune, but the latter bit and scratched, cutting off all of their opponent's appendages. The duo never let up their attack and continued mangling the kraken until its pieces were scattered all over the ocean. With another massive puff of smoke, the transformation jutsu was undone, revealing the toad boss, Gamabunta, and our favorite blonde shinobi, Naruto, standing atop the former's head. Bunta spit out a tentacle stuck in his mouth, then declared, well, that's that. Thanks for the help, boss. Naruto thanked the giant toad. Don't go off celebrating there, boy. You still owe me that drink. But boss, I'm still underage. Nonsense. Their conversation was cut short when Sasuke activated his own summoning. Kuchi Yase no Justu. A huge purple snake with black rings running down intervals on his body appeared in a giant puff of smoke. He had massive fangs, green eyes, and 4 horn-like protrusions on his head. It was Manda, Orochimaru's favorite summoning. Fuck. Sasuke didn't leave yet. Naruto muttered in this world's language. Long time no see, Bunta. Manda greeted his fellow summoning as he went on to squeeze the life out of the giant toad. Oyabun. Naruto screamed in worry. Don't worry about me, boy. Take care of Sasuke, so we can get this over with. Gamabunta said. Right. Naruto answered as he leaped towards Sasuke's spot on Manda's head. The two exchanged blows. Naruto was getting exhausted from all the jutsu he had been firing and all the fighting he had been doing. Sasuke tried to swipe at the blonde with his sword, but Naruto jumped back to avoid it. In turn, the blonde threw several kunai at his opponent. Sasuke's eyes glowed with his visual prowess. Without even flinching, he deflected each and every one of the kunai with his sword. Several clones appeared around Sasuke. He kicked one in the gut, making it fly back to another. He sliced another who tried to sneak behind him. Naruto engaged his power-hungry friend, going about it kunai against sword. He parried all of Sasuke's slashes and stabs, and so did the latter with Naruto's attacks. All around them Bunta was rolling around trying to get Manda off of himself. He struggled around, spraying bursts off air that were dodged by his limber opponent. Unhand me, you snake. The toad boss ordered. Why would I listen to you? Manda said. Arg. Fight like a man. Bunta ordered. And risk losing this battle? No. The snake retorted. He started to squeeze tighter. The toad boss began throwing curses at the snake. Most of which, Naruto hasn't heard before. Gaki. He called for help. Naruto turned around to look at his boss. Oyabun. You're wide open. Sasuke yelled. He appeared just behind Naruto to slice the blonde's head off with his sword. Just at the last minute, the blonde raised a kunai to block his friend's attack. He pushed the sword away with all his might and managed to knock the sword away from his face. The blonde jumped and kicked Sasuke away. The latter was able to block with his forearm, but the force still staggered him back a few steps. Naruto was relentless. He created 4 clones to help with his next attack. One clone kicked Sasuke in the stomach. He flew into the air. Another needed Sasuke to raise him higher in the air, but he was able to recover and block the attack. Dash. Sasuke was able to block the next attack and swipe at the next clone and the clone after him with the lightning in his hand. Naruto was about to punch Sasuke to send him back to the ground. The young Uchiha discharged lightning from all around his body to paralyze and damage the blonde. It was Sasuke's turn to dish out kicks and punches at the blonde, sending them higher in the air at increasingly greater speeds. When the two were close back the surface of the water, Sasuke twisted in the air and kicked Naruto in the stomach, making him sink down the water. After Sasuke was done, he turned to his own summoning. He saw that Gamabunta was now free of the snake's hold and was being relentlessly chased by the toad. "Boss, give me some oil," Naruto said. "Then, get the fire ready," Gamabunta said in return. His cheeks puffed and then he sprayed a continuous stream of oil at the monster. At the same time, Naruto weaved through his hand signs and blew fire at the stream of oil. "Katon, Gameunden!" The two of them shouted. The burning toad oil engulfed the giant snake. Screams of pain could be heard from inside the vortex of fire. It had no choice but to dispel, although not unscathed. When the two jutsu users let up on their attack, nothing else was left in the wake. "That deceptive piece of shit," Sasuke grit his teeth. It turns out all the Naruto he fought earlier, including the one he sank under the ocean, were all clones. The blonde was somehow able to trick him. His right hand crackled with electricity when he heard the familiar swirl of chakra from the original. The two charged at each other. Rasengan. Chidori. The attacks exploded on each other, blasting the casters in opposite direction. Naruto hit the water hard with his back and everything went black. In an unknown house. Naruto woke up in another room he didn't recognize. The blonde looked around the room. In one corner, there was a bow and a quiver of arrows. He rubbed his head, and then pinched himself to see if he was dreaming. "This is becoming a habit," Naruto joked to himself. "Where am I?" "I see you're awake," a woman entering the room said. "I'm surprised you heal so quickly." The woman had bronze arms and long golden hair that zigzagged down her back in an elaborate ladder weave. Her skin glowed against her white sundress. I don't mean to be rude, but who are you?" Naruto asked with a confused expression on his face. "Oh Naruto, I am sure you have read about me. I am family after all." The woman giggled. Naruto tilted his head in thought. Naruto dug deep into his mind, back at the time he was brought into this world. "Mom made me read all those books, but they didn't really have accurate portraits of the mythological world," Naruto stated. "I see your point," the lady said, so she decided to introduce herself. "I am Leto." "Grandma Leto," Naruto said. "Yes, Naruto," Leto smiled. "It's nice to finally meet you." Naruto rushed over to hug the lady. Leto was surprised, but she still returned the blonde's hug. "I thought I'd have to wait longer to meet my family," Naruto said. "So, Artemis didn't see you yet, did she?" Naruto shook his head. "Oh, that Artemis," Leto said. "She's probably busy doing her duties to Olympus. You have to understand, Naruto. She doesn't have time to visit even you, Grandma." Naruto frowned. "No, Naruto," replied the Titan sadly. "That's so sad." Naruto's voice trailed off. "I've gotten used to it over the millennia. The humans have forgotten about me too after the gods have risen to power. Now, we peaceful Titans are living among humans without you knowing. I know what loneliness feels like. It shouldn't be something one should get used to. Well, what can you do? Anyway, how long was I out?" "You've been out for a day. I'm surprised you could still fight your friend after almost being crushed by the Kraken." Naruto winced. He tried to move his body. His bones may have healed, but the pain was still there. "You saw that?" Naruto asked. Leto nodded. By now, the whole mythological world is aware of you after your battle. That is no simple feat after all. That was a tough one, I'll give him that. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Not to mention, the monster caught me off guard when I was fighting Sasuke. He is a hard monster to fight indeed. You are the first demigod in millennia to defeat it. Really? Cool. That is one massive understatement, Naruto. Yeah. I am at a loss of words myself. The two had fun talking with each other. Naruto told Leto about his childhood and his life in the Hidden Leaf. In the middle of the conversation, Naruto's stomach grumbled, making him laugh sheepishly. Leto laughed along with him. She snapped her fingers, a platter of sandwiches appeared in front of them. I don't suppose you do ramen, do you? Naruto asked. Of course Naruto, my bad. Leto apologized and she made a bowl of ramen appear. Naruto ate a lot of. He didn't even notice how hungry he was when he finished eating. While they ate, their conversation continued, but as usual, all good things have to come to an end. It was nice to meet you, Grandma Leto, but how soon can I leave? Naruto asked the Titan. A look of pain flashed over Leto's face, but she forced a smile. Oh Naruto, I know that you have a quest to complete. You can leave as soon as you have recovered. She said. Naruto jumped up and stretched the kinks out of his system. I guess you weren't kidding when you said you were a fast healer. Leto commented. Normally, those of your kind would take more than a day to heal from those wounds of yours. Well, you know, my tenant helps in that department. Naruto said while scratching the back of his head. So, I've heard, the Titan said. Wait, how do I get back? I will take care of that. Leto was about to snap her fingers to send Naruto back, but the blonde stopped her. Wait, Grandma. What about you? He said. Well, I'll stay here and live in peace as I have been doing. Leto answered. But, you'll be all alone again. I'll be fine, my boy. I mean, I have survived all these millennia, how hard could another millennium be? Naruto didn't sound convinced. He, then, had an idea and he dug into his pouch. I have been working on these with Annabeth back in Virginia, Naruto said as he produced a silver and bronze kunai. Though, I was only able to make one. What's this? Leto asked. It's a kunai with a special seal. Once I master my dad's jutsu, I will be able to come and visit. The blonde explained. Oh, Naruto, you don't have to. Humans can be forgetful just as the gods can. Leto waved him off. Well, I'm different, Grandma Leto. Once I give my word, I will fulfill it no matter what. Oh, all right. Come on then, you have a quest to finish? Yeah, have to save Kemp again. Leto smiled. She snapped her fingers and Naruto disappeared. Back at the Sea of Monsters. When Naruto came to, he was on a boat big enough to fit 3 people. He had a backpack on his back filled with a change of clothes and some supplies. It hadn't been long since he got teleported back to the quest. Though, he told himself that he needed to get used to the teleporting thing when he masters his dad's jutsu. So there he was, sailing the open seas. He had clones out to help him helm the small ship. Thankfully, there were no storm clouds or monsters in sight. The blonde noted to himself not to say this out loud, lest he would face the curse Percy had placed them in back in their first quest. Thank God for his wind manipulation to speed up his traveling. For miles, there was nothing but water and the occasional sea creature. He made sure to ask if the creatures had seen something unusual in the waters. The only responses he got were a burning building coming from a direction the creatures pointed. He decided to go on the lead. After a few more miles of traveling, he spotted a lone brown rowboat floating aimlessly in the water. He decided to check it out. From afar, the boat looked like there were no passengers. When he got closer, he saw a boy maybe a year or 2 older than himself. He had golden brown and tanned skin like Annabeth's. The body was covered in wounds and was unusually thin. Naruto checked his pulse. He couldn't feel anything. The boy was dead. What is Child of Athena doing here awfully far from home? Naruto asked himself. The blonde inspected further. He saw that the boy was clutching something in his palm. He pried it open. Once it was open, he saw a coin. It had the symbol of an owl on it, the symbol of Athena. Naruto didn't know what to make of it, so he pocketed the coin. He sealed the demigod in one of his empty scrolls so he could bring home the body for a proper burial back at camp once the quest is over. He continued on his way. A few minutes later, he could see plumes of black smoke rising from afar. That must be what that dolphin was talking about. Naruto wondered aloud. Guys, let's go towards the smoke. He ordered his clones. Yes, sir. The clones answered in unison. The origins of the smoke soon became visible to the one-man crew of the boat. There. One of the clones shouted as he spotted an island. Right. The others replied. I hope you guys are okay. Naruto muttered. It was a lone island in the middle of nowhere. It looked like a resort of some kind, except it was in flames and there was chaos everywhere. Just then, a scream came from inside the resort. Chapter 9, The Burning Island. Leto gazed over the window overlooking the ocean. She had just sent Naruto on his way with her power. Just then, thunder rumbled around her. Why? Am I bound by the laws that you gods have to follow? Leto said aloud. Thunder boomed even louder. Yeah, she waved the thunder off. It's bad enough I have to stay in exile all by myself. More thunder came. Oh, put a sock in it, Zeus. I don't have to follow your stupid rules. I am free to do anything I want. Leto's argument with the thunderclap continued. The god of the sky stopped. Maybe Poseidon had made him see sense. Yeah, like that could happen. Or maybe Hera had found out who Zeus was trying to send the message to. Either way, Leto was left alone by herself in her usual peace and quiet. Leto sighed, gods. She returned her gaze back to the ocean. Be careful, my boy. C.CS Spa and Resort. Naruto's perception of spas and resorts was a relaxing time away from all the stress and worry, even just for a little while. He should know, he, himself, loved going to places like this. Though, right in front of him was pure and utter chaos. All around them, the docks and buildings were on fire. Pirates were chasing ladies around and pillaging any loot they can get their hands on. To add to that, Naruto could sense traces of Naruto and Annabeth on this island. A tick mark was forming on Naruto's forehead. I have a good guess on who caused this mayhem. Naruto said aloud. He raised his arms to form a cross in front of his chest with his fingers. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He yelled. Poofs of smoke appeared right behind him. Another round of clones came to existence. Spread out and take care of this stupid pirates. Naruto ordered. Hi. The clones answered and everyone, including the original, headed out. The original made his way through the chaos which were taken care of by his army of clones. He came across one of the pirates stalking over one of the women like she was his prey. The first thing Naruto noticed about this pirate was the aura of a demigod. No, scrap that. The first thing he noticed was the huge mop of black beard on his face. Let me guess, Blackbeard the pirate. I didn't figure you for a man who takes vacations. Naruto said, stopping the pirate from what he was doing. Yeah. The name's Edward, son of Ares. I'm surprised you've heard of me even though I was stuck on this here island. Blackbeard said. Well, your exploits weren't what you call subtle, Naruto answered. Turn away now, kid, and let me get a taste of this flesh. Blackbeard licked his lips as he eyed the woman's supple form. Or else, I'll turn you into chopped lettuce. What? Curse that sorceress. I've been a guinea pig for far too long. Guinea pig. That's a long story, boy. I suggest you turn away, right this instant, and leave me be. I can't let you do that. You better step away from the young lady or I'll turn you into chopped lettuce. You don't look like much. Do your words even hold any merit? Why should you care? You don't seem like much yourself. Blackbeard turned to face the blonde. He brandished his big sword. Fool, you don't know who you're dealing with. I am Edward Teach, son of Ares. Blackbeard boasted. Naruto waved off his boast and gave out a boast of his own. Big deal, I went toe-to-toe with your dad just last year. Why you little? The pirate was the one who made the first move. He lunged forward for a stab. The blonde cocked his head to the right to avoid the pointed end, and then he grabbed the pirate's wrist. I don't need jutsu to finish you off, Naruto said. What are you? Blackbeard said with a confused look on his face. Naruto didn't answer. Instead, he twisted the pirate's wrist. A cracking sound could be heard, earning a scream from the owner. The blonde pulled the pirate towards himself, and then he raised his knee and planted it on the bearded man's gut. The attack raised him a few inches from the ground. Naruto let him go and planted a roundhouse kick on the pirate, sending him flying towards the wall. Being that they were made of wood, the pirate went through the wall and into the ocean. Naruto turned to the lady watching him in awe. That was close. Naruto offered a hand to help her up. Glad I made it in time. Thank you, the lady blushed at the blonde's actions. Who are you? The name's Naruto. Pleased to meet you. The said blonde introduced himself. The lady's eyes lit up. You're him. You're the son of Artemis, the one from a whole different world. Wait, you know me? Yes. Word of you has spread all around the godly world ever since your victories over the mother of monsters and the god of war last year. Even your victory over the greatest sea monster has reached us here, though it was only recently. My mistress, Circe, was even impressed by you. Gee. Thanks. Wait a minute, did you say Circe? The lady nodded. Yes, I did. As in the immortal daughter of Hecate and the one Odysseus met during his long trip home? The one who turns men into pigs. Naruto looked around. The blonde didn't fancy being turned into a pig right now. He still had a quest to finish and friends to find. The very same. This resort belongs to her, you know, but we don't turn the men into pigs anymore. She leaned over to whisper to the blonde's ear. We would have problems about sewage, and the stench would make it hard to relax. She returned to her position and continued in her normal voice. So, men who across the island are turned into guinea pigs, while the women are given a life of luxury and are bound to this island. So that's what Blackbeard was talking about. Naruto said, and then he raised his finger to his cheek and scratched it. Say, I don't suppose your mistress is here, is she? The lady shook her head. No, she disappeared after the boy and the girl caused that ruckus and released our prisoners. Naruto widened his eyes. Is the boy black-haired and has sea green eyes, and the girl blonde with gray eyes? I didn't really see the boy. He was already turned into a guinea pig by then. But, I did see the girl and she was exactly how you described. I knew it. Are they friends of yours? I'm sorry my friends caused this. You and the other girls call this place your home and they wrecked it. Tears began falling from the girl's eyes. We have to find new place to live in now. Naruto patted her on the head. There, everything will be alright. My clones are rounding up all the survivors on the island. Really? Of course. The girl wiped the tears from her eyes and jumped the blonde, wrapping him in a hug. Naruto was surprised at first, but he returned the hug and stroked the girl's head. Why do I get the feeling like someone would get jealous about this? Naruto thought to himself. You know, for a girl who lived in an island where boys are turned into guinea pigs, you certainly do not mind giving a hug to one. The girl's eyes realized this and quickly unwrapped Naruto, revealing a tomato-red face. Naruto chuckled at that. Oh, how rude of me, the girl said, getting back her composure. I haven't introduced myself. My name's Reina. Pleased to meet you. Naruto shook her hand. The clothes on the girl were slowly falling off now, so the girl struggled to keep them on. Naruto averted his gaze in respect to the girl. I almost forgot that good-for-nothing pirate almost tore off my clothes. Reina squeaked. Naruto dug into his pouch, and he produced a scroll. He unrolled the scroll, and then focused chakra onto the seal written in the scroll. With a poof of smoke, a clean set of clothes appeared on his hand, much to the amazement of the girl. Here, the blonde handed them to Reina. I do hope they would fit you. Naruto turned around to allow some privacy for the girl to change. A few minutes later, the girl was done. I'm done. You can look now. Naruto turned around to look at the girl. She was wearing Naruto's favorite orange shirt from camp, which was a little too big for her. The pants were falling off, but she remedied them with a makeshift belt. Sorry, I guess they're too big for you. Naruto apologized. Don't worry about it. At least it's covering me up. Reina replied. That's a relief. My clones are probably done rounding up the others. The blonde continued. Come on, let's go meet them. Naruto didn't let go of the Reina's hand along the way as he led her towards the others. When they got there, one of the other girls noticed Naruto and Reina heading their way and ran towards them. Reina noticed the girl running towards them. She let go of Naruto's hand and ran toward the girl running towards them. Reina! The other girl yelled as she ran towards them. Hyla! Reina called back. Reina broke away from Naruto and ran towards the girl. The two shared an embrace when they got next to each other. I thought I'd lost you. Hyla said aloud as she caressed Reina's hair. The two girls broke their embrace and faced the blonde. Hyla bowed her head. I thank you for coming to our aid. Naruto waved her off. Oh, it's nothing. It's the least I can do after my friends caused you all this carnage. You'll never guess who this is, Hyla. Reina cut in. Yes, I know. His clone told us about it. Hyla said. Reina puffed her cheeks. You're no fun. I couldn't have stopped all the pirates by myself, you know. Naruto said. Although, since I used the Kage-bunshin, you could say I still did it by myself. He mumbled that last part to himself. What? The two girls asked together. Oh, it's nothing. I was just musing to myself. Naruto scratched the back of his head like he always did. The two girls looked at each other, and then shrugged. Anyway, Naruto changed the subject. Let's get you girls out of here. The three joined the other girls in the resort's courtyard. So did I get to everyone on time? Naruto asked the rest of the girls. There were nods from the girls gathered and shouts of praises and thank yous. Naruto thought to himself. The small sailing vessel he came on the island wouldn't fit on it. Not to mention that it wouldn't survive Charybdis and Scylla when they get out of the Sea of Monsters. An idea popped up in Naruto's head. Quick question, Naruto asked. Do any of you want to join my mom's hunt? Murmurs could be heard from the girls gathered. Most of them still wanted to have love lives of their own. Some even eyed the blonde like he was the one they wanted a relationship with. In the end, only 5 of them stepped forward. I know it's not my place to invite you to join, but once you get to my mother's camp, you can tell her your intentions. Naruto explained. So, just give me a sec to call out for my mother. Naruto closed his eyes in prayer. He called out to his mother in his mind. For a moment there, Naruto thought that nobody would answer him. Just then, a bright light appeared beside the blonde. The blonde's face lit up once he sensed the new presence arriving at the scene. A middle-aged man with a muscular, athletic figure appeared in the vicinity. The man had salt and pepper hair, blue eyes, elfish features that he had seen back at a particular cabin at camp. There was a sly grin plastered on her face, like he was up to something. He was wearing nylon shorts and a New York Marathon shirt. He was checking messages on a watch he had on his left hand. Naruto's expression dropped when he saw who appeared. The man looked up and saw Naruto's crestfallen expression. Sorry, kid. Just a messenger this time. The man said. It's okay, Lord Hermes. It's not your fault. Just thought that mom would come this time since it was the girls we are talking about. Naruto told the god. Your mother is probably out hunting as usual. She's never around Olympus whenever I'm there. Hermes answered. But your jobs as gods keep you away all of the time too. Naruto sighed. Right, Hermes chuckled. Anyway, you need to transport these young ladies to your mother's camp, yes? Yes please, Lord Hermes. Alrighty then. Hermes was about to snap his fingers when Reina called out. Wait. Reina yelled. I didn't get to properly thank you for helping us. Grumbles could be heard from the crowd. They were mostly berating themselves for not speaking up like she did. Oh, that's okay. I'm not looking for anything in return. Naruto said. No, that won't do. I guess I'll have to owe you a favor. But this will do for now. Reina said, and then she leaned over to kiss the blonde on the cheek. Naruto blushed bright red at her actions. Jealous glares were sent to Reina because of what she did. The blonde was in a daze for a while, but he remembered that he still had to track down his friends. Say, I don't suppose you saw where the two dunderheads went, did you? Naruto asked. Oh, your friends? No, sorry. Reina answered. Oh, you mean the two who caused this whole mess? A random girl asked from the crowd. Yes, why don't I come with you and show you where they went? The girl said seductively. Oh no you don't, Kinsey, the other girls pulled her back. You can just point at the direction they went. It's bad enough that Reina got to make a move on him. Another girl said. PFT, fine. Kinsey said. They were headed over in that direction. They took the Queen Anne's revenge, I think. Thank you for that. Naruto said. Okay, that's enough, lover boy. Hermes said. You've made me miss one appointment. Let's get these girls to your mother's camp. Thank you again. All of the girls said. I'll see you around. Naruto bid them farewell with a small salute. And say hi to my mom when you get there. Hermes snapped his fingers and the girls started to glow brightly. Don't forget. I owe you one, whenever we see each other again. And be careful of the siren's lair. The light engulfed the ladies and soon they were gone. I best be on my way, son of Artemis, before more appointments get cancelled. Hermes started to take his leave. Naruto bowed. Thank you for your assistance, Lord Hermes. It was my pleasure. The messenger god then continued his jog and soon disappeared in the next room. It was nighttime now. The stars were visible in the night sky now that they were far away from what you call modern civilization. Although, he was still bummed that he didn't see his mom when the ladies at the resort needed some transport, so he wasn't in the mood to look for constellations. The moonlight glowed brightly as he sailed through the waters of the Sea of Monsters, like a silent apology from the moon goddess for not seeing her son at this moment. The original kept watch for any sign of his friend even at night. He traveled the same direction that Kinsey had seen her friends head towards. In the darkness of the night, the flames from what Naruto assumed was a forge could be seen lighting up the night even from a considerable distance. If that is what I think it is, Annabeth would avoid that one, but at what direction? Naruto said to no one in particular. How about we try this way? One of his clones suggested, pointing away from the forge. Sure, why no, Naruto said, but let out a huge yawn. You must be tired. Another one of the clones said. Yeah, you've got us to count on, Dateba yo. Yet another said. I guess you're right. The original Naruto answered. Thanks guys. Don't mention it. That's why you got us. Leave it to us. Those were the answers his clones said to him as he curled up in the corner to go to sleep. Little did he know, Morpheus had something to show him as he rested. Dreamscape. When Naruto came to, he was in yet another room that he didn't recognize. It was a stateroom that seemed to be aboard some kind of ship. He could feel the vessel slowly sailing through ocean waters. Geez, what is with me waking up in rooms I never seen before? Naruto said to himself. He examined the room. It was dark, but a golden sarcophagus glowed inside the room. In the wall behind it, the wall was painted purple and a fairly large golden triangle was plastered in the middle. Suddenly, cold laughter could be heard coming from miles below the ship, echoed through the whole room. Join me, son of Artemis. Help me overthrow the gods and I will give you redemption for the quest you failed back in your home world. Naruto knew full well who was coaxing him. He was about to answer, but wind swirled around him and a new familiar voice called out behind him. Naruto. Over here. The voice called out in the language of the elemental nations. Naruto turned around. Right there was his old team. Sakura was waving at him with another hand to her mouth, calling out to him. Sasuke was there with his hands in his pockets. HMMP, Aren't you the one always excited for missions? The Uchiha said. Another voice spoke from behind him. Sorry I'm late everyone. I got lost in the path of life. It was Kakashi, their team captain. Isn't this what you wanted? For your friend to go back home to the village you call home. For everything to go back the way they used to be. The voice willed the scenery to continue. You're late again, Kakashi-sensei. Sakura scolded their mentor. Lord Fourth will be mad at us when we get there. Lord Fourth? Naruto asked in confusion. Dad. Yes, boy. I can give you the life that you have always dreamed of. The family you've been longing ever since your childhood. The scenery shifted. They were now standing in the Hokage's office. Sitting on the Hokage's chair was a different person. He looked like Naruto, except without the silver streaks on the hair. He was wearing a standard Konoha uniform and a flak jacket over it. Over his current attire, he was wearing a white short-sleeved long kairi closed in the front with a thin orange robe. The kairi was decorated with flame-like patterns on the edges and the kanji, read as Yondaime Hokage or Fourth Hokage in English, written vertically down the back. Naruto, I know you're excited as usual to go on this mission, but you have to focus and work with your team. The Fourth Hokage reminded Naruto. Dad. Naruto managed to stutter out. Naruto, are you listening? The Fourth Hokage asked again. Naruto opened his mouth to answer, but someone knocked on the door. Minato, can I come in? A female voice said from the other side. Oh, yes. Come on in. Minato said. The door creaked open revealing the owner of the voice. The voice came from a slender, fair woman with fiery red hair that reached up to her waist. She wore a high-collared, sleeveless blouse under a long, green, loose-fitting dress with a wristband on her left wrist and standard shinobi sandals on her feet. She carried 2 bento lunches wrapped in a handkerchief. Mom, Naruto managed to blurt out. Oh, Kushina. What brings you here? Minato asked. The others in the room, save for Naruto, bowed to the newcomer and said. Kushina-sama. You two were so eager to get out of the house that you forgot your lunches. Kushina explained. It was a good thing I was able to catch up with you, Naruto. Minato scratched the back of his head just like Naruto does. Oh right, thank you. The creepy voice willed the scene to pause at this moment. The life you never had the chance to live. I can give it you if you join me. Help me destroy the gods. Naruto walked up to the image of his friends and family. Naruto, it's time to wake up. Another voice spoke to Naruto's ear. It was calming and comforting. Way different from the creepy voice that was coaxing him to join his side. End of dream. Naruto bolted upright. It was morning already. The boat was now empty, all his clones were gone. There was something stuck to his ears somehow that obstructed his hearing. Naruto looked around. A few miles away, he saw something that looked like a pirate ship. That must be Blackbeard's ship. Naruto said to himself. He steered his boat towards the pirate ship. His eyes never left the Queen Anne's Revenge as his own vessel drew closer. What he saw next made him understand why his hearing was obstructed. A girl jumped from the pirate ship. No doubt it was Annabeth. She was swimming towards a misty island surrounded by jagged rocks and debris of sunken ships. He instantly knew Annabeth was in danger. Oh shit! Naruto blurted out as he jumped overboard and ran towards his friend. Chapter 10, The Island of the Sirens. It was another day in the camp of the hunters of Artemis. The huntress returned to her camp dejected after Zeus had forbidden her to go and give aid to her son. She didn't say a word when she returned home from Olympus. Instead, she just entered her tent to gather some supplies then went out to hunt. Artemis routinely checked for news regarding her son's fate. No word has arrived ever since she came back from Olympus. It was then, at around sundown, while she was in the middle of her hunt, that the confirmation of her son's survival arrived. It came in the form of a prayer. She heard it loud and clear. It was the distinct voice of her son calling out to her for assistance. Mom, I need some help transporting these ladies I found back to the mainland. Her son's voice spoke in her mind. Also, I believe I have some new recruits for you, Mom. She was thrilled to learn of this, but she also felt annoyed that she cannot leave her duties unattended. So, she called for the god's messenger and asked him a favor. She asked him to go in her stead. A few minutes later, she felt foreign energy coming from the direction of their camp. Hermes must have already finished picking them up. She noticed that there was something different about this group. Her form flickered for a moment. Her silver tunic changed into silver camouflage clothing, and her face became more serious and regal. The two hunters she brought with her on the trip noticed this, so they rushed to her side. "Are you okay, milady?" they both asked. She put on a smile for her hunters. "I'm fine, girls. You don't have to worry about me." So, some of them are from that camp, she thought. The hunters' camp, somewhere in the wilderness. A bright flash of light appeared in the middle of the camp. A fairly large group of ladies appeared as soon as the light died down. This caught the attention of the other hunters, even those who were busy. It was Artemis Lieutenant who first approached to greet the group. "Welcome to our camp," she said. "I suppose all of you are new recruits." A small group broke off from the main group. One of the girls in the smaller group answered for all of them, "No, ma'am. Only us." The lieutenant gave out a light frown. She thought that all of the girls who arrived were going to join. Then, looked at all of the girls, then smiled. "No matter. All of you are welcome to join us for dinner once Lady Artemis arrives. In the meantime, who wants some hot chocolate?" Lair of the Sirens, Sea of Monsters. A blonde-haired girl, Annabeth, was swimming towards some jagged rock covered with mist. She was a strong swimmer despite the currents, mines, and rocks. She was almost to the black beach to where the real danger was, provided that you survived the obstacles. Naruto was running on water towards the girl to save her. When he got close to Annabeth, the mist cleared and he saw them. From the neck down, the monsters he saw were akin to a flock of vultures, except they were human-sized. They had dirty black plumage, gray talons, and wrinkled pink necks. The heads, though, were human heads that kept changing. Their heads morphed. They turned into the faces of people that the blonde knew. They showed him the faces of people he knew, from the faces of his friends back in the elemental nations to his new loved ones on Earth. But no matter what face was shown to him, their mouths were bloody and greasy, caked with the remnants of the previous meal. He shook this off. He couldn't let his friend make it to the beach. As fast as he could, he ran with all his might towards Annabeth, and then grabbed her. She wasn't too thrilled about this. She didn't even acknowledge Naruto. Instead, she squirmed and struggled to break free of Naruto's hold. Naruto was in another trance. The moment he touched Annabeth, a shock went through his body. At that moment, he saw the way his friend was seeing them. 3 people sat on a picnic blanket in Central Park. A feast was spread out before them. He immediately recognized Frederick Chase, exactly how he saw him back in Virginia. He was holding hands with a beautiful woman who looked a lot like Annabeth. She was dressed casually in blue jeans and a denim shirt and hiking boots. Naruto knew she wasn't human because she radiated power. "I knew that I was looking at the goddess Athena." Next to them sat a young man. There was no mistaking it. Naruto would recognize that face anywhere. It was Luke. The whole scene glowed in a warm, buttery light. The 3 of them were talking and laughing, and when they saw Annabeth, their faces lit up with delight. Athena and Frederick held out their arms inviting the girl to come to them. Luke grinned and gestured for Annabeth to sit next to him as if he'd never betrayed her, as if he were still her friend. Behind the trees of Central Park, a city skyline rose. Naruto was breathtaken even more than when he first came into this world. He was amazed at what he had seen. The buildings were rebuilt into dazzling white marble, bigger and grander than ever with golden windows and rooftop gardens. It was like they were modeled after Olympus itself. Naruto could make a guess at who designed the place. It was better than New York. Better than even Mount Olympus. It was Annabeth's dream. She had done everything that she had wanted to do, and everything she wanted to happen happened. The shinobi was brought out of his vision by a punch in the face from the daughter of Athena. Apparently, the vision had disrupted Naruto's chakra flow, so even he was now partially submerged underwater. Coincidentally, The punch in the face startled Naruto, making her let go of his friend. Annabeth was already on the beach. The sirens were licking their lips ready for another meal, but Naruto, being a party pooper for the monsters, scrambled to grab his friend again and save her from being another meal for them. After that, he dove underwater with Annabeth in his clutches, the place he knew the song wouldn't reach. They made it to about 10 feet underwater, their feet were touching the ocean floor. For a moment, Annabeth was confused. Her eyes widened when she saw who was with her. It was Naruto. She punched Naruto as best as she can underwater. Naruto didn't complain, he knew it was his fault. Annabeth quickly wrapped Naruto in a hug. They stayed like that for a few seconds. But, their problems weren't over yet. Annabeth was now running out of air. Unlike Naruto, she wasn't able to ready herself for the deep dive. Naruto noticed this. So, while still wrapped in the embrace, Naruto shot out of the water with Annabeth in his clutches. As soon as they left the water, Annabeth was once again in a trance. Naruto held her tightly so he wouldn't let go anymore. They both landed on the Queen Anne's Revenge. A dazed Percy was lying on the deck of the ship looking at the clouds. But he wasn't dazed because of the siren's song. It seemed like he was in deep thought. Naruto and Annabeth's arrival startled him. He sat up to see who the newcomers were. Naruto yelled, "Go!" Percy was able to read his lips, "Thank the gods," so he willed the ropes of the ship to hoist the sails and the currents of the ocean to steer the ship away from the island. Naruto held on to Annabeth. She was coughing and squirming as they made their way away from the siren's lair. They sailed until the island was out of sight. Eventually, Annabeth calmed down. Naruto took that moment to remove the foreign substance that was stuck to his ears. Percy decided to do the same. "I gotta thank my clones for this later," Naruto thought. Naruto faced Annabeth. "So, what's this about swimming to the island of the sirens?" he asked. "You were awfully close from being eaten." I am sorry, I just wanted to hear their song. It was supposed to make you wiser," she explained. She glared at Percy. "Besides, I trusted Percy to guard me. Turns out he didn't take away my knife." "How was I supposed to know that you were going to cut yourself free?" Percy explained himself. "I mean, I tied you up really tight." "That's enough," Naruto stopped their argument. "That was stupid for both of you." Annabeth stood up and punched Naruto on the shoulder. "I could say the same for you, Naruto. Taking on the Kraken all on your own." "Yeah, man," Percy interjected. "We thought you were dead." "I thought you were dead when the CSS Birmingham exploded," Naruto said. Annabeth shook her head. "We were able to get to the lifeboats in time." "What about Clarice and Tyson? Where'd they end up to?" the blonde shinobi inquired. "Clarice was able to get on a boat, but we got separated." "And Tyson?" Percy couldn't bring himself to tell Naruto what happened. Annabeth continued for him. "He was still below deck when the ship exploded. We don't know if he survived or not. He'll hold out fine," Naruto reassured his best friend. "How could you be so sure?" Percy asked. "He's a Cyclops. He's immune to fire," Naruto explained. "Even with an explosion that big." The son of Poseidon still wasn't convinced. "Percy, the godly world shouldn't surprise you by now," the blonde explained further. He, then, changed the subject. "I guess we could call it quits now." Percy and Annabeth looked at him oddly. "We all did something stupid," he continued. Naruto and Annabeth broke out in laughter. Percy smiled, still bummed out that he had to think about Tyson again, but he eventually gave in and laughed with his friends. "In any case, how are you feeling?" Percy asked his friend, who he almost allowed to swim to her death. Even to him, that sounded like a stupid question. Annabeth nodded. "I've been better, but I'll be fine. I didn't realize how powerful their temptation would be." "That was an awesome design of Manhattan," Naruto commented. Annabeth blushed. "You saw that?" "Yeah, we kinda shared the vision, a while back," he explained. "So, Luke's words really got to you, huh?" Percy said. What did he say? Naruto asked. I forgot you weren't with us back then, Percy said. Luke told Annabeth that she could build the world from scratch, or something like that. It's my fatal flaw. The sirens showed me that. My fatal flaw is hubris. Annabeth explained. That brown stuff they add on veggie sandwiches. Percy asked as clueless as ever. The two blondes sighed out loud. It's hubris, Percy. What you're talking about is hummus. Naruto explained. You must be hungry, Percy. It means deadly pride, seaweed brain. Thinking you can do things better than anyone else, even the gods. You really feel that way? Percy asked. Annabeth averted her gaze, but she still explained it to her friends, especially to Percy. Do you ever feel like you could do a better job of running the world? Or like, you could do a better job of building this world? A world with no more war, no more homeless, no more homework, no more ninetails. No more homework, that's a nice proposition. Percy commented. Yeah, that would be nice. Naruto said. But, running the world. Percy shook his head. No, the world would be a nightmare if I ruled. Then, you're lucky. Hubris isn't your fatal flaw. Annabeth said. I wouldn't say lucky, Annabeth. He would still have one, and it would still be fatal if you don't know how to control it. Naruto corrected. So, what is my fatal flaw? Percy asked. Who knows, I guess we'll have to see in the future. Naruto said. And once you know what it is, you better learn how to control it, Annabeth added. If you don't, well. Percy gulped. Just then, the son of Poseidon's nautical senses kicked in. He perked up and looked towards one direction of the ship. What's up? Naruto asked. We're close. Was Percy's answer. He, then, raised his finger to point to the direction he was looking at. His friends followed his gaze. They saw a blotch of land. From afar, it didn't look like much. As they got closer, they got a better view of what the island looked like. It was a saddle-shaped island with forested hills, white sand beaches, and green meadows. You're right, Naruto confirmed. I sense some kind of power on the island. The Cyclops Island. 30 degrees 31 minutes north, 75 degrees 12 minutes west. It doesn't look like anything I thought it would. Percy said as their ship parked on the island's beach. What did you expect? Jagged rocks and bones. Naruto joked. Or maybe, a tank of acid. Actually, yes. Percy said. I mean, the show and movies show villains' lairs like that. Look at the Sirens Island. Percy, those are fiction. Naruto deadpanned. And the other island didn't have the magic of the fleece like this one. Yeah, fiction. It's not like a year I was told that the gods and monsters were not works of fiction. Boys, that's enough. Annabeth scolded. We still have a fleece to find. Just a quick question, what happens to the island when we take away the fleece? It'll fade. Go back to the way it used to be. Percy frowned. He felt guilty about ruining the paradise that they have found here. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder. Percy, we don't have a choice. If we don't take it. I know, Percy said. Let's go get that fleece. Right, Naruto and Annabeth answered. They walked down the beach. There was nothing to see as they walked through the beach. Well, that was true, until they saw the other lifeboat from the CSS Birmingham. Hey Percy. Annabeth said. Isn't this? It can't be. Percy answered. It must be Clarissa's boat, but how did she get here on her own? Annabeth said. Let's keep looking, Naruto decided. We're bound to find them somewhere on the island. They kept walking. They made it into a meadow at the base of the island's ravine. There were several dozen sheep milling around and grazing around the grass. There was a path that led up a hill and to a massive oak tree, the same one that was shown to Naruto and Percy in their dreams. There was something gold glistening hanging from one of the tree's branches. This easier than I thought, Percy said. Come on. We can just go up there and take it. One would think that walking up to their prize would be a walk in the park like what our favorite son of Poseidon was thinking. What harm could the sheep cause our heroes? Well, that is in normal circumstances. Wait. Naruto warned his friend. Just as the shinobi uttered his warning, a deer emerged from the bushes. This animal was probably looking for some grass to eat. If you could read the deer's mind, you would see its life flash before its eyes as the sheep rushed the poor animal. Grass and tufts of fur flew into the air. A second later, the sheep all moved back to their peaceful wandering. Where the deer was recently standing now lay a pile of clean white bone. So, there goes that idea, Percy said. They're like piranhas, Annabeth commented. Woolly piranhas, Naruto corrected. What are we gonna do now? Percy complained. I could sneak up the path with my cap. Annabeth suggested. They probably have a strong sense smell, Naruto shot down her idea. They'd probably sniff you out even though you're invisible. Besides, we still have to find Grover. Percy added. You're right, Annabeth relented. But, how will we get to Grover? Remember those cliffs we saw back there? Percy suggested. Percy, you can barely climb the lava wall, Naruto teased. Shut up, Naruto. Percy scolded his friend. It's not like we have much of a choice. He's right, Naruto, Annabeth sided with Percy. For once, the blonde shinobi cut in. Annabeth and Percy glared at the blonde. Naruto raised his hands and gave in, sorry. I'll stop now. Anyway, might I suggest that we attack this plan at two fronts? What do you mean? Percy asked. One party will go and save Grover, while another party will go get the fleece. Naruto suggested. But how? We can't get past the sheep. Percy asked. Yeah, and we need all the help we can get when we go and save Grover. Annabeth added. I'll find my way, and remember I have this. Naruto created a clone with his signature jutsu. Besides, this jutsu was created for infiltration and recon. Both Narutos said. Well, there's no harm in trying. Percy shrugged. That is actually a good idea. Are you sure you are not related to Athena? Annabeth asked. Naruto shrugged. I don't know. I bet that's his answer if I ask him if he's related to Hermes, too. Annabeth thought. What are we waiting for, then? Naruto said. Let's go. Cliffside of the island. Percy and Annabeth groaned as they strained from the effort of trying to climb the cliffside. Naruto effortlessly climbed up with his chakra control. Show off, Percy groaned as he saw Naruto get past them, while he and Annabeth were still struggling to climb the wall. It had only been a few minutes since Naruto had sent his clone to retrieve the fleece from the other side of the hill, and Percy is regretting his decision of pointing out the cliff side to climb. Seeing Naruto climb up with ease didn't help him at all. For a scary moment, Annabeth's right hand grabbed onto a slippery rock covered in moss which caused her to slip. Fortunately, Percy's face acted as a foothold. Sorry, Annabeth said. "S okay." Percy managed to say even though Annabeth's sneaker was planted on his face. Their problems didn't end there. The ledge her left hand was holding onto broke. She felt weightless as she felt herself peeling from the cliffside. Just like any character in movies when they are close to death, her brief life flashed before her eyes. Her mind went black as she fell to the pointed rocks down below. Only a shrill scream escaped her lips. Percy couldn't help her since he too might fall if he tried. Naruto. Percy called out to his friend. The blonde shinobi was way ahead of him. When he heard Annabeth's screams, he looked back to see her falling. He immediately created a clone to slingshot himself back down to the water. He landed on the water's surface with the chakra automatically on the soles of his feet. He scaled the rocks the same way he scaled the cliff, and snatched Annabeth in the air as she fell. That was close, Naruto said. You okay? Annabeth opened her eyes. She saw Naruto carrying her bridal style. Their current position didn't matter to the daughter of Athena right now, she didn't even feel flustered at all. What mattered the most right now was that Naruto saved her. "Nah Naruto," Annabeth managed. "Thank you. No problem." You know, I always got your backs. Their faces were awfully close. They both could the heat coming from each other's skin. They were staring into each other's eyes for a moment, when... Nice catch, Naruto. Percy brought them back to reality. But, could I have a little help here too? The clone Naruto created earlier walked down to Percy. I'm not carrying you the way my original is carrying Annabeth. Yeah, sure whatever, Percy said. Could you hurry up, please? My arms are burning. Okay, I got you. The Naruto clone picked him up and firemen carried him up to the top of the cliff. The original Naruto and Annabeth back down the bottom heard all this happen and were laughing at his expense. After a round of laughter, Annabeth said, "We better join him up there." "Yeah," Naruto answered, still getting the laughs out of his system. Annabeth gripped Naruto tighter and snuggled into the shinobi's arms. "Don't ever go fighting things alone again," Annabeth whispered. "I know, Annie, but the Kraken got nothing on me back there," Naruto answered. "I'm serious here, Naruto," Annabeth continued. "I thought your sensei taught you about teamwork." "Yeah, you're right." He relented. "We take the monsters on together next time." A minute later, Naruto made it up the cliff. They saw Percy lying on the ground resting from the climb before the clone helped him. "Now I regret ever suggesting that," Percy said as he sensed his friends make it up the cliff. "Told you so," Naruto said. "You don't have to." Percy was about to retort, but a voice bellowed from inside the cave that was behind them. It was followed by a barking that echoed through the cave. Gawk! That's it for part 2. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.